In 2008, a 19-year-old out of Kansas State was taken with the number 2 pick in the NBA draft. A player who had just put up one of the greatest freshman seasons in college basketball history, a player some believed could end up better than the guy taken at number 1. By the time he was done, he had played for 7 NBA teams, played overseas in China, been arrested multiple times, checked into rehab, lost his mother to cancer, and found himself crying on a podcast, telling the world he was tired of trying to find good people. This is how Michael Beasley went from walking bucket to walking cautionary tale. Michael Beasley was born in the Prince George's County town of Cheverly, Maryland. His mother, Fatima Smith, raised him and his 4 siblings largely on her own. As one person close to the family later put it, when you have a son who's 6'9" and 230 pounds in the 10th grade, you probably need a father figure around. And one reason he did mischievous things was that father figure wasn't there. Basketball found Beasley early. While growing up, Beasley played for one of the country's most successful AAU youth teams at the time, the PG Jaguars. Beasley won multiple national championships with this team, alongside future fellow blue-chip recruit Kevin Durant. The two grew up together in the DC area, and their friendship would become the stuff of basketball lore. Beasley has said that meeting Kevin Durant changed his basketball life. Durant pushed him into the gym, taught him the language of basketball, and helped sharpen his competitive drive. But even with Durant's influence, Beasley's path was chaotic from the start. Beasley went to 6 high schools. 6. He averaged 30 points per game his freshman year at National Christian Academy, 28 points per game his sophomore year at Riverdale Baptist School in Maryland, and then spent his junior year at the legendary Oak Hill Academy, averaging 20 points per game there. At Oak Hill, his talent was obvious. His behavior was the problem. His high school coach Steve Smith had suspended Beasley from the team for writing his name on several lockers throughout the school. Actions Beasley said he did just because he thought it was fun. Smith offered his star player one final chance. He told Beasley that to be invited back to Oak Hill, he needed to impress administrators with flawless end-of-year behavior. 2 days later, Beasley signed his name in black ink on the principal's truck. He'll definitely try your patience. You look at him physically and he's a full-grown man, and you think he's going to make good decisions all the time, but a lot of times, he just didn't. Despite it all, Beasley ended up at Kansas State for 1 year, and that 1 year was nothing short of historic. His 26.2 points, 3rd in the nation, and nation-leading 12.4 rebounds were the most by a Big 12 player in any season. His 866 total points and 408 rebounds ranked 3rd and 2nd among all freshmen in NCAA history. He also led the nation in double-doubles with 28, 40-point games with 3, and 20-point, 10-rebound games with 22. His 28 double-doubles broke the freshman double-double record previously held by Carmelo Anthony, who had 22 in his only season at Syracuse. He was named Big 12 Player of the Year and Big 12 Freshman of the Year, following Kevin Durant, who had won both the year before. He was also the McDonald's All-American Game MVP. Beasley won that MVP over Derrick Rose, James Harden, O.J. Mayo, Kevin Love, Blake Griffin, and DeAndre Jordan, after using being ranked number 6 by ESPN as motivation. And yet, even at the peak of his college dominance, the scouting reports already told you what was coming. According to Draft Express player profile, the 6'10 forward's weaknesses included attitude, focus, and off-court red flags. On June 26, 2008, Beasley was selected 2nd overall in the 2008 NBA draft by the Miami Heat. Derrick Rose went 1st. Russell Westbrook went 4th. The names that went around him, Rose, Westbrook, Kevin Love, Brook Lopez, would go on to have long, decorated NBA careers. Beasley was supposed to be right there with them. He wasn't. The problem started before Beasley played a single regular season game for the Miami Heat, apparently not one to waste time. Beasley ran afoul of NBA policy at the first official opportunity to do so. According to Zach Harper of CBS Sports, Beasley was fined $50,000 for his involvement in an incident at the 2008 Rookie Transition Program, in which he, Mario Chalmers, and Daryl Arthur violated program policy by having women in the room. Hotel workers also detected the odor of marijuana and were only there in the first place because the smoke alarm went off at approximately 2 a.m. Beasley actually sneaked out of the room, leaving Chalmers and Arthur to take the rap. He was later forced by Heat president Pat Riley to admit his role in the affair. Let that marinate. The number 2 pick in the draft. the franchise's future cornerstone, had already put himself in the crosshairs before training camp even opened. In Miami, Beasley was stepping into one of the most demanding environments in professional basketball. It was about entering the Heat locker room at 19, during the peak of the Dwyane Wade era. While the franchise was chasing titles, that environment demanded immediate impact. Beasley, meanwhile, was still figuring himself out. Pat Riley, the man running the show, tried to guide him. Right after Beasley arrived in Miami, Riley advised him against buying a lavish house, and instead wanted him to purchase a 2-bedroom condo. But Beasley didn't listen. He later reflected, "If I did it all over again, I would have listened to Pat Riley. Pat Riley told me to get a condo, get 2 bedrooms, one for my mom when she's coming to town, and everybody else figure it out." I went the polar opposite, and my excuse to him was, I grew up in an apartment, and I needed some space. When he moved to Miami, Beasley bought a 6-bedroom house, 3 dogs, and had 4 of his friends live with him. Not only did he spend a considerable amount of money maintaining a large house, but he also had to cover the cost of living expenses for his entourage. Riley noticed the rookie forward was in $200,000 debt just 1 month into his NBA career. On the court, it wasn't entirely a disaster. As expected, Beasley was a starter during his rookie season and played well enough to earn a spot in the all-rookie first team, but the shadow of who he could have been hung over everything. As David Fizdale later recalled, the year that they were drafted, not to call out Beas, but one day we had to drag Beas out of the bed in Vegas to get him to the gym to work out. Russell Westbrook had already been in that same gym for 2 hours, full sweat. That image would define the Beasley narrative for the rest of his career. A man with generational talent and a visible aversion to the discipline required to maximize it. After the Heat's first-round exit from the 2009 playoffs, it was reported that Beasley, along with fellow rookie Mario Chalmers, had been fined multiple times throughout the season for violations of team policy. Then the summer of 2009 arrived, and it brought what many consider the first real alarm bell. Beasley tweeted on Aug 21, 2009, "Why do I feel like the whole world is against me? Back on my FTW. I can't win for Lozin." A few hours later, he added, "Feeling like it's not worth living. I'm done." He took down his account shortly after those posts. Those words should have been a distress signal. For many, they were just another headline in the Beasley saga. As early as 2009, Beasley checked into a rehab facility amid suspicions of substance use. He later said on the Aura platform, "At the time, I didn't know I was sad. I was depressed. I was anxious, stressed out. I was confused. I couldn't decipher any of those feelings. I was just angry all the time." Beasley managed a full season as a starter in 2009-10, averaging 14.8 points per game and 6.4 rebounds per game. But the Heat had other plans, much bigger plans. On July 12, 2010, Beasley was traded to the Minnesota Timberwolves in exchange for 2011 and 2014 second-round draft picks. Beasley was traded in order to clear salary cap space for Miami, allowing them to sign free agents LeBron James and Chris Bosh, as well as re-sign Dwyane Wade. The Heat traded their number 2 pick, a player they'd had for just 2 seasons, for a pair of second-round picks, not first-rounders, second-rounders. That's what the market said Michael Beasley was worth by the age of 21. Minnesota was supposed to be the fresh start, a change of scenery, a new chapter. Then President David Kahn was remarkably candid in his comments on Beasley. In a radio interview, he said he's a very young and immature kid who smoked too much marijuana and has told me that he's not smoking anymore. And I told him that I would trust him as long as that was the case. The talent was still undeniable. On November 10, 2010, Beasley led the Timberwolves to victory over the Sacramento Kings with a career-high 42 points along with 9 rebounds. He finished the season averaging 19.2 points per game, which was ranked top 20 in the league. 19 points a game, top 20 in the entire NBA. And yet the off-court issues kept accumulating like storms rolling in off the prairie. In 2011, cops busted him with 16.2 grams of marijuana underneath his front passenger seat during a traffic stop. Beasley also got into hot water for shoving a fan in the face. During an exhibition game at Dyckman Park in New York, a fan who had been heckling him throughout the game. Then came Phoenix. On July 20th, 2012, Beasley signed a 3-year, $18 million contract with the Phoenix Suns. That was real money. That was the league telling him they still believed in his ability, even if they couldn't quite trust the man carrying it. At a news conference following his signing with the Suns, Beasley pointedly said he was through with marijuana. He wasn't. Beasley, who vowed when he joined the Phoenix Suns a year ago that his marijuana problems were in the past, was arrested by Scottsdale police after they found what they believed to be marijuana in his car. On September 3, 2013, Beasley was waived by the Suns. The decision came shortly after Beasley had been arrested on suspicion of marijuana possession. The $18 million deal was shredded after just one full season. The Suns' president of basketball operations said at the time, "We worked hard to devote ourselves to Michael's success, but we have to maintain the standards to build a championship culture." And here's where the storyline takes its cruelest turn. Just 8 days after the Suns cut him loose, on September 11, 2013, Beasley signed with the Miami Heat, the same franchise that had drafted him and traded him away for scraps. This time, he wasn't the franchise player. He was a reclamation project on a minimum deal, sitting at the end of the bench behind LeBron James, Dwyane Wade, and Chris Bosh. The Heat made it to the NBA Finals for the 4th straight time in 2014, with Beasley making his first Finals appearance in Game 5 of their series against the San Antonio Spurs. The Heat lost Game 5 and the series, as the Spurs won 4-1. From there, Beasley's NBA career became a tour of temporary addresses. He signed a non-guaranteed contract with the Memphis Grizzlies, was waived, and that same day signed a 1-year deal with the Shanghai Sharks of the Chinese Basketball Association. In the 2 full seasons he played in China, Beasley averaged 28.6 points in the 2014-15 season and 31.7 points per game in the 2015-16 season when he was named the league MVP. Think about that. The man was averaging 31 points a game and being named MVP. But in China, not the NBA, the talent never disappeared. The opportunities in America did. He bounced around the league with the Minnesota Timberwolves and Phoenix Suns, then went overseas before multiple comeback attempts with the Heat, Houston Rockets, Milwaukee Bucks, New York Knicks, and even the Los Angeles Lakers. 7 teams across 11 NBA seasons. Every time he stepped on a court, the scoring came easy. Staying there was the impossible part. In a 2022 interview with Hoops Hype, he opened up about this frustration, saying, "Honestly speaking, I think people don't disrespect but overlook what I've been able to do. If you look at my per 36 numbers for every team, they're all-star caliber." He never scored less than 15 points per 36 minutes, averaged over 20 points per 36 minutes 6 times, and once averaged over 25 points per 36. But minutes don't lie. When NBA coaches didn't trust you, the minutes disappeared, and so did the career. The basketball narrative always overshadows the human one. People track Beasley's stats, his arrests, his team changes. What fewer people tracked was what was happening to him as a person. Beasley opened up about his father, saying he later learned the truth about why their relationship was limited as a child. That revelation created distance between him and his mother before learning of her cancer diagnosis. His mother, Fatima Smith, was the person who had been there through everything, every high school transfer, every draft night, every headline. After losing his mother to cancer in 2018, a woman he once called his everything, something in him gave way. There was a time she came to every game. She wasn't just his support system. She was the only person who truly understood what he carried. Her death shattered whatever guardrails he had left. With the Lakers, he missed half of the season to be with his sick mother. The Lakers later traded him to the Los Angeles Clippers, who waived him barely days later. He chose his mother over basketball. The league moved on without him. His mother's battle with cancer inspired him to stay strong. He said, "I don't like pity, she was being strong. I was trying to be strong." After she passed in December 2018, the isolation deepened in ways most people couldn't see. Every comeback was shadowed by controversy, marijuana suspensions, locker room rumors, and erratic behavior. What wasn't often reported was the isolation that trailed each one. When Beasley appeared on the Pivot podcast in March 2022, what was supposed to be a basketball-focused interview quickly took a turn toward Beasley's personal battles, shifting away from the court and into the depths of his struggles. The raw emotion he showed caught the internet off guard. Here was a man who had been memed, mocked, and dismissed for over a decade, and the pain was pouring out of him in real time. "I don't talk to nobody," Beasley said. "I've reached out, and I've reached out so much that I have to die with some kind of dignity." Let those words sit for a moment. He also said, "I know it's not sustainable, but at the same time, who do I go out with? I've been trying to find good people for so long. I'm tired, bro." Other sources, who did not want to be named, have said that now that he's in the NBA, there is not one responsible adult who has a meaningful relationship with Beasley, and that in self-serving ways, his family and those around him have been sources of stress and instability instead of solace and wisdom. That context, the absence of a stable support system, explains so much of what the box scores and police reports never could. Beasley said that although there is still a mental health stigma, he is glad to see other athletes like DeMar DeRozan and Kevin Love be open about it. "One of the things that made it easier for me was when Kevin Love spoke on it. DeMar DeRozan also," Beasley added. "Those are two guys I grew up with. When you are able to see your heroes, people who in your mind are some of the strongest people in the world, be vulnerable, it becomes a little easier." Even as recently as February 2025, the cycle continued. Beasley was arrested at Manhattan Regional Airport for possessing marijuana while trying to board a plane. He had been in Manhattan for several appearances centered around Kansas State's win over Kansas, a visit to the school where he was once a god, ending with another mugshot. "Taking a moment to address the situation and move forward, I take full accountability for what happened today," Beasley wrote. "Though it's still fresh, I'm already focused on learning and making better decisions." He's been saying that for almost 2 decades now. In April 2026, Michael Beasley sat down on the Club Shay Shay podcast with Shannon Sharpe. Beasley was described as one of the most gifted scorers ever, a Big 12 Player of the Year, Big 12 Freshman of the Year, McDonald's All-American Game MVP, Big 3 champion, back-to-back Big 3 MVP, and one of the best one-on-one players in basketball. That introduction tells you everything. All those accolades, and not a single one of them reads NBA All-Star. Not one says NBA champion. Not one says franchise player. The talent was never the question. The infrastructure around the talent was. On the podcast, Beasley spoke candidly about his time with the Heat, about LeBron, about what went wrong. In a now infamous story, it was presumed that it was Riley who banned cookies on team flights, which did not sit well with LeBron James. Beasley added another layer to it, claiming on Club Shay Shay that Heat coach Eric Spoelstra also had a hand in the decision. Beasley said, "That's the first time I've seen the whole organization scared." From that point on, they tiptoed around him. They knew he was out. They knew he was leaving. Everybody did. He also spoke about the broader failure of the system, of coaches who told him to play defense but never developed his scoring, of organizations that moved him along instead of investing in him. Beasley said, "A lot of us came up in the wrong era, and a lot of us didn't have a coach. It wasn't a lot of player coaches." And he talked about something that cuts even deeper. On AAU basketball, Beasley said money has changed youth sports, with too many families chasing profit instead of development, discipline, and love for the game. He also described how some coaches profited from his talent, while his family still struggled financially. There it is, the infrastructure that was supposed to guide a prodigy through adolescence and into adulthood was, in many cases, extracting value from him instead. Now look at the comparison. Kevin Durant, who grew up alongside Beasley in those same DC gyms, became a multi-billionaire, a 2-time NBA champion, a 4-time scoring champion, and one of the greatest players to ever live. Russell Westbrook, who was drafted 2 spots after Beasley in 2008, won an MVP, averaged a triple-double for a season, and had a Hall of Fame career. Pat Riley himself later admitted, "We missed on that pick in Michael Beasley. I mean, we didn't really miss on it, but the best player was Russell Westbrook." Michael Beasley's NBA journey has always been one of the league's biggest what could have been stories. And maybe that's the point. The what could have been label assumes the outcome was entirely within Beasley's control. It wasn't. A boy raised without a consistent father figure, shuffled through 6 high schools before he could vote, exploited by AAU coaches chasing money, thrust into a win-now organization at 19 years old, with $4.3 million in his pocket, and no one teaching him how to manage any of it. Yes, Beasley made choices. He's the first to say that. "I didn't help with getting in trouble." Those are his own words. But the system failed him too. His NBA journey became a patchwork of team changes, suspensions, and off-court struggles. And somewhere in that unraveling narrative, his cries for help, were mistaken for attitude problems. He has been playing basketball overseas and participated in the 2023 Big Three season, which showcased his skills and earned him the Too Hard to Guard award. After he averaged 21.6 points per game. He's 37 years old, still putting the ball in the basket like it owes him something. The tragedy of Michael Beasley isn't that he couldn't play. It's that nobody figured out how to keep him whole while he did. At the heart of Beasley's message is the reminder that everyone's struggles are valid. You're worth it, he emphasized, urging others to remember they're not alone. The walking bucket is still walking. Whether anyone's willing to walk with him, that's the question his story leaves behind.